Hello all you beautiful people, my name is Zach Dowdy. Today we're talking about how to make curbs skatable. I've been actually having a hard time finding the right curb and what qualifies a good curb for making a slappy curb. I think basically you don't want a gutter that's going down too steep because that's not going to be fun to skate, and you don't want a ground that's too rough. Those are like kind of the two basic parameters, and then you can go into like the height of the curb. You don't want anything that's too low to where you can't really slappy, you just ride on, and then you don't want anything too high to where you have to ollie onto it. It's you know, a standard curb is what I found here at the school, which is an often place to find good curbs. It's schools or parks or just like commercial businesses, but a lot of times you're gonna have a security guard there and that could be trouble. I actually just saw a cop drive by, so that's something you got to think about, is like the best times to make the curb skatable and then go skate them at those best times. So right now is the morning. I found this curb that I'm gonna fix up. We're gonna come back here in a few hours once the school shuts down and closes so that we can make it without any troubles. 2 days later, and the spot that originally we were at, I don't think it's gonna work out for fixing up the curb because there's so much traffic, and that's the one thing with finding a good curb to fix up. You don't want a lot of foot traffic, you don't want a lot of car traffic, you want to avoid all that. So the R&D, finding the right curb, is a big challenge. That's something I've been working on for days actually. So we're back here at this slappy spot that I skate all the time, many videos, and I'm always trying to work on my slappies and improve them here. So I figured, why not contribute and fix up this curb? There's definitely some gaps that need to be fixed. This side of the area, this coping, or sorry, this curb isn't really as grindable as it is down there. Like, a lot of people put work on the curb way down there that I normally skate. So instead, I'm gonna fix up this curb. The first thing to fixing up this curb in particular is I want to fix up the cracks. So that's gonna be number one. I'm basically just gonna tape off our beginning and end, similar to a Bondo job, similar to fixing pool coping, but we're gonna use JB Weld. So first step, I'm gonna start taping all this up, and then we're gonna fill it so that way we can grind and slide through the cracks a lot easier. Now the materials we're gonna be using for this project are the JB Weld, a little putty tool to spread everything out. We're gonna need some painter's tape. We're gonna use our rub brick as well as some lacquer, and we'll go into details of what each one does, but first things first, let's tape it up. We use the painter tape and kind of block off our beginning and end marks, and then we'll fill it with the JB Weld. Step one accomplished. Kind of masked off all the area where we're gonna fill with our JB Weld. Get these knots to be nice and solid so there's no gaps in the concrete, no gaps in the curb. This will prevent it from getting worse as well. So you're sort of like doing a little bit of a preventative, and you're able to grind and slide through it a lot better. So now that we have everything all masked off, it's time to fill it. It's time to mix the JB Weld and kind of just get it into the spot. Something else I also did is like stuff tape in the areas that are sort of hollow, and I didn't want the JB Weld to slip. So yeah, let's get to mixing this JB Weld, filling this stuff up, and then we'll get to the next step. Filled all the cracks with our JB Weld. As you can tell, I went through that stick pretty quick, so I will say, if you want, you know, that little JB Weld stick to go as far as possible, tape up as much as possible so you don't have to fill too much. I did, you know, fill quite a lot underneath and top that I really didn't need to do. You only need to do like the edge of the curb, so that's a learning lesson for me. But basically it takes 4 to 6 hours to dry, so I'm gonna let that sit for a second. Quick shout out into the AM. It's like a clothing company. They sent me this jacket, and I really like it. It's a pretty good bomber jacket. You know me, I don't like all over prints. I don't like a lot of branding on stuff, so this one's nice and simple. I love it. I have a little link down below if you want to get something like it. Step 2 is done. That was rub bricking it. We got the JB Weld in there. That was the first step, kind of patch all the holes. Second step was rub brick so that we can grind both sides of it. The rough side of this curb that's not red really needed a lot of rub brick, and the red part did need a lot of rub brick too. The point being, for the next step, we basically want a nice clear, clean surface of concrete, fresh, no wax on it, nothing like that, for the clear enamel. The point of that is like, it's kind of like a stain, like you would stain wood or something, to a protective layer essentially. But you don't want to put enamel or clear lacquer, anything of that sort, on top of wax, because that's not really going to do much of a job. You're going to end up having to wax it again. You have like a vicious cycle. So getting down to that surface layer is really important before you put lacquer on it, because after that, then it's going to be, you know, you could wax it, whatever, you'll have a nice clear layer on there. So now I'm going to dust everything off from the rub brick and hit it with the clear enamel. All right, that is pretty much the final step. Now from here, we just want to wait for this to dry. I'm going to peel up the tape so the JB Weld can kind of like fall into place. And then, you know, 4 to 6 hours is as long as you really need to wait for the JB Weld. So we can skate the in between, but before we start grinding through the cracks, we do need to wait a few more hours. So with that said, I'm going to let all of this dry, come back, and we'll get a skate session. But that's pretty much it. That's how you can get any curb going. Pretty simple 4-step process. If you have any questions, make sure you leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you're not already, and we're gonna come back for a skate session. All right, it's been about a day and a half since we did everything. You can really do all this and skate it pretty shortly, 4 to 6 hours, as long as the JB Weld dries. So it's been a while. Back of the curb, it's looking good. I figured we might as well get a couple of slappy grinds in this video, because that just wouldn't feel right if I left you hanging like that. So we're back. Let's get a couple slappy grinds. It's been a long day. I'm working on my first video part that I haven't worked on in a super long time. I'm planning to put it out on July 29th in 2021 for my 34th birthday. Hold me to it. I got my first clips this weekend, super stoked. But yeah, I'm exhausted, but we got to get a couple slappy grinds and break this curb in. That was probably the coolest slappy grind I've ever done. Feeble, board slide, fakie. I was trying to just do feeble and then the board slide was working and I just ran it. That was really fun. Appreciate all you. If you're not out of breath, if you're not subscribed already, please smash the subscribe button. Appreciate all you subscribers already. Make sure you smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. Mash.